The year is 2020 and we're amidst a pandemic. How on earth does an artist get from her home in a seaside town to the middle of a forest in the Forest of Dean? If only beds could fly. I'm Kristina Veasey and I'm a visual artist. And for the last 18 months I've been working on a research and development commission for Unlimited in partnership with the Forest of Dean Sculpture Trust. The focus of my project has been resilience and solidarity, and I've been looking for examples of that in the natural landscape, in the heritage and in the social fabric of the Forest of Dean. There's a lot of symbiotic relationships in the natural world and lots of strategies for survival. Plants are faced with drought and they wind their roots towards water. Shaded shoots stretch towards light. Barriers are overcome, new paths are formed. You've only got to see fallen trees where they've been blown down in the wind, and rather than just dying and that being the end of them, they become a playground for new life. You know, rare insects move in, lichen grows upon it. You see in areas like Puzzlewood, you see the yew trees, these ancient trees, these giants of nature, their roots reaching into the ground and sending these boulders of limestone tumbling, and where they land they're covered in really thick green moss, and it creates a new and enchanted landscape. So all the time there's rebirth and new energy and new landscapes being formed. You know, resilience persists. It's covered in a hilly, thick forest that stretches really high, so you can stand at certain points in the forest and see the trees stretching to the skies above you, but below you still see the tops of other trees. The forest lies between two very winding rivers, the Wistful Wye and the Savage Severn. And below the ground run seams of coal and ochre and iron, which over the years have been mined, providing employment for the people of the area. And it's this fantastic heritage and the diversity of the landscape that really informs the identities of the people living here. As an artist, this gives me lots of things to play with and draw from. So I've been busying away, making and planning future visits, and disaster, the pandemic struck. I found myself being unable to get to the forest or get anywhere really, and actually the most pressing thing was finding supermarket delivery slots. Now, I'm actually no stranger to being housebound. I live with a chronic illness which often leaves me laid up for days at a time, sometimes weeks. So I'm quite used to being restricted in that way. And being an artist helps with that because you can be creative and think outside the box a little, think how you can get round these barriers so that you can carry on doing the things that you want to do. So there I was in my bed with rope wrapped in sheep's fleece hanging over the bedstead. I had branches popped up against the bed. I had bits of leaves and fluff all over my duvet cover, and every time my legs spasmed everything went flying up into the air. It was a proper forest immersion, if you like, but in my bedroom. It was messy and it was frustrating. I longed to be amongst nature. I decided to embark on some impromptu Shinrin-yoku, that's forest bathing. I lay back on my bed and thought about the distinctive earthy smell of the forest floor, the dappled sunlight coming through the leaves on the trees, the orange ochre of the lichen growing on the tree trunks. And I just imagined myself on my bed as if it was a bed knobs and broomsticks moment, and the bed had lifted up and transported me back into the forest. And I listened to birdsong. This was a recording that I'd made on my first journey into the forest, something that I can't really do very easily. But I borrowed a tramper scooter and I went right into the heart of the forest. And it was quite a revelation. I'd expected it to be silent, but it was so noisy. Rejuvenated and inspired by my forest bathing, I decided to create a workspace at home, trying out new processes and developing new pieces of work. There's a lot of different techniques, a lot of different materials. I've been dyeing and spinning and weaving and felting and whittling and charring, and you name it, I've been doing it. And I was lucky enough to receive a ginormous box in the post from the Forest of Dean, full of sheep's fleeces. Pulling out of the little bits of fern and grass and thorny sticks, all of these things allowed me to see the life that sheep had led while he was roaming about freely in the forest. And there's something about that connection with nature, with animals, with the plant life. And here I am, hundreds of miles away from the Forest of Dean, and having that really close connection. To get a real feel for the area, talking to people has been really key. The history books centred very much on male occupations, the mining and the quarrying and the farming. The nuances of the diversity of the Forest of Dean area were lost. I wanted to find those voices and amplify them. Like most of the nation, I have used Zoom, and I had some fantastic conversations with disabled artists, with travellers, with a phenomenal young woman who set up the Black Lives Matters protest in the Forest of Dean. And all of this has helped to contribute to a more rounded view of the people that live there. So now I'm building a sculptural basket using branches of the forest, and hidden within the basket will be a confetti cannon. Fires out the voices. It'll be a celebration of solidarity and resilience and the vibrancy of the people. Now all I have to do is lay back on my bed and, with a little creativity and imagination, see where my bed will fly to next.